What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Terrifier. So first things first, I'm going to give you all my overall thoughts and opinion of this movie. And to be 100% honest, I absolutely love this movie. I think this is a top tier slasher movie, and I mean, this is arguably one of the best slasher movies of the 2010s in my opinion, and I think this could be on a list of one of the best modern slasher movies, even one of the best modern horror movies. Maybe some people would not agree with me, but I mean, this whole channel is based on my opinion. I mean, if you all follow the channel, I review a lot of 80s slasher movies, so I'm a big fan of 80s slasher movies. So this movie really pays homage to 80s slasher movies, and it has that 80s slasher new drinking, new challenge, new TikTok challenge. Every time I say 80s slasher movie, take a shot. That'll be fun. No, actually, I think I'm going to say that like 5,000 times in this video, so don't do that. It's very unsafe. You might, F around and pass out or something, fall down the effing stairs. I don't know. But anyways, I'm a fan of that era of slash movies, and I think this does a great job of it has a good balance going on. It definitely pays homage and feels like that type of movie from that era, but it does a lot of new and interesting things, and it feels there's a good balance between an old school approach and a modern approach, because even though I love a lot of those movies from that era, I don't know if they would really work today. I mean, the first Halloween wasn't really made in the 80s, almost, so 78, that's, almost 80s, but, like the first Halloween, I don't think it's slow. I think it's, like, that's like my favorite horror movie of all time, the first Halloween. I don't think it's slow, but a lot of people, and maybe younger people, would think that that's like a slower movie, and, oh, where's all the blood, blah, blah, blah. So, you can't really make a movie nowadays that's exactly like a slasher from the heyday of slasher movies. So I think this movie, it doesn't totally reinvent the wheel. It feels familiar if you're like a genre fan, but it does like a lot of unique and interesting things where it feels fresh, so I really like it, and yeah, I think that's a hard balance to maintain, and I think it totally succeeds. Before I keep rambling of how much I like this movie, I'm gonna get into a little plot summary. I don't want to get too in depth. I'm just gonna give a super couple sentence plot summary because I don't want to give too many spoilers out too early in the video. So you have these two women, and it's Halloween night. They're coming back from like a Halloween party. They're a little turnt. They were sipping some drinks and whatnot. So while they're coming back from the party, they see this killer clown, and they're like, well, they don't know he's a killer, but they see this creepy clown guy, and of course they're just freaked out, and they're a little bit turnt, maybe too turnt, I don't know, but the one chick, she's like I'm lit or whatever. I like when people actually use the term lit to describe like being like effed up, like as it like you were like smoking or drinking. Like, I mean, lit is cool to say for if you're like talking about like, yeah, like that's awesome, whatever. But I like when people actually use the term lit to describe like, man, I just had 12 beers, I'm lit. But anyways, as she says in I forgot what the main character's name is, but as she says, she's pretty lit. They're pretty lit, and you know they got to sober up, so they go to this little pizza place, get some food in them, sober up a little bit before they drive home, because they're not trying to drive drunk. You know, they're responsible individuals, which, you know, much respect. Yeah, so basically they go to this pizza place to get some food, sober up for a little bit, and that clown that they just saw after the party, he's there. At first they're like, whatever, the one girl is kind of playful with him, but, you know, the main girl is a little bit freaked out. So they're driving, the one girl has to go to the bathroom, so they stop in this warehouse that's getting fumigated. She's got to go to the bathroom, and then Art the Clown comes and terrorizes them for the rest of the movie. There's some other happenings, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to give spoilers too early in the video, but yeah, that's the basic plot summary right there. And pretty much the rest of the movie takes place in this abandoned warehouse, which I think this is a lower budget movie. The Wikipedia says it was made for $35,000, which I think is absolutely incorrect. I feel like I remember watching a video a couple years ago, and Damien Leone was talking about like the first movie cost like $100,000, something like that, to make. Like there's no way they made this movie for $35,000. Like what are you smoking on? Whoever made the Wikipedia, like, get your effing facts straight, man. Like, come on, get with the program. But anyways, like the movie is set at one location. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it worked. I think it had that. It made it have that isolated feel. Like, you know, it kind of added to the like if they were just running down the street, they could, like, you know, knock on someone's door, like someone would see. Like the fact that they're in this isolated building, there's no phones around, because I think the one girl's phone like dies early on. There's no phones around. There's no people to help them besides the one guy who is like working there. I think he's like the maintenance guy or whatever. Maybe he's the guy doing the fumigation, whatever. There's like, they're stuck, they're trapped. It has that feel, and the actual location that they chose was so creepy, so effective. It worked. It was this old creepy abandoned building. You had rats crawling around. You didn't see the rats, but it was perfect. So in terms of this movie having a lower budget, that's really the only thing that the only like part of the movie that alluded to the fact that it wasn't some big budget movie was the fact that it just all took place in pretty much one location. Other than that, this movie looked great. It looked like it was made for more money than it was. So that was awesome. Let me see where I'm at. Just got to talk about, you know, Art the Clown himself. So, well, not really. I want to talk about the actor who played him. So, I just reviewed All Hallows Eve recently, and in All Hallows Eve, Art the Clown was played by Mike Gianelli. I think he did a great job in you know, like the first iteration of Terrifier, like the short film, but I think David Howard Thornton just totally amped it up and brought it to a whole new level. Just, you know, of course it's like a silent character, but just all his mannerisms, the way like he emotes, the way all his facial expressions, all his little mannerisms, just totally, like, even though this character doesn't talk, like, the character has character, if that makes any sense. Like, he's just so demented. Like, you can tell he's just totally enjoying his work. He's totally enjoying everything he's doing, and he has this kind of playful side to him because he is a clown, and he's just having fun with it. He's kind of silly, joking around. He totally killed it. Yeah, like, I feel like, I mean, this is, people have said this time and time again. But I was talking to this guy at work the other day. He wasn't one of my coworkers. He's just like a customer who comes in, and he was wearing like a Camp Crystal Lake shirt one day. So we started chopping it up about, you know, horror movies and stuff. And he was talking about Kane Hodder, and how, like, you know, even though it's not like a speaking role, like, he brings that physicality, he brings that physical he brings that physical presence, and you know, he really like adds to the character. So I feel like people have said that. I'm not saying anything new. People have said that in every single YouTube video talking about horror movies or whatever and silent killers, but I feel like there is something to be said about that, where, like, you know, even though a lot of these slasher villains are silent characters, like, you need a good actor with a good physical presence to really bring the character to life, and I think David Howard Thornton did that. Just some standout moments that I liked. Something that I just, like, kind of stuck with me was when he gets stabbed in the foot and he screams, like, he like screams with his face, like his mouth is making the motion of a scream, but he doesn't actually let out any words. I really like that. He doesn't let out any noise at all. I really like that. And then I like after that little sequence, he flips off the girl, and a lot of you probably know this, but if you watch some of the interviews with like Damien Leone and David Howard Thornton and some of the behind the scenes stuff, that was totally ad-lib. That was like improvisational. He's just, I think it was after the actual scene, he just like threw out the middle finger, and they absolutely loved it and they kept it in. So it's always fun to learn a little behind the scenes stuff like that, and it's kind of cool that, you know, Damien Leone, of course, he was running the ship, and, you know, he was giving David Howard Thornton direction, but it was cool that David Howard Thornton, he probably improvised like a lot of other stuff that made it into the movie. So that also shows you like how much he brought to the role himself. So David Howard Thornton rocks. It's a slasher movie, so you got to talk about the kills. I'm gonna jump into the kills. The kills in this movie are absolutely outstanding. I mean, what more can you say? These are like some of the best kills ever. Like the actual, okay, this came out in, like, it initially screened in 2016. I think it came to Netflix in 2018, but, you know, it's a newer movie. There's a lot of CGI nowadays. This movie is all practical. It looks fantastic. You have so much variety. I think every single kill is different. And then, you know, Art the Clown, he has that now famous like black trash bag full of different weapons, and some of them are like makeshift weapons, like that little like club with the little metal tassels and all the little nails and stuff on it. He's got like his own iconic weapon, but he's got this sack full of weapons, so every single kill is a different weapon or just a different kill. So you got a lot of variety, and you got a lot of super creative kills, and you got some extremely iconic imagery. So like when the guys at the pizza shop are killed and the one guy's head is turned into like a jack-o'-lantern, that's some iconic imagery in my opinion. That's a super creative kill. You can't talk about this movie without talking about the girl who got sawed in half from her you know, from her private parts down to her head while she was naked. That's some iconic imagery for you. And that kill, it, like, the actual effects, like, it looks so good. It looks really darn realistic. And I'm telling you, I watch all kinds of, you know, gory films. I watch all kinds of slasher movies. I watch a lot of messed up stuff. That kill, every time I watch this movie, makes me absolutely cringe. I'm like, ooh, like, it's hard to watch because it's just so slow and drawn out, and then you like put yourself in her shoes and you're like, that would be just one of the absolute worst ways to go. That would be terrible. So I mean, and then, you know, you got to give a shout out to Damien Leone. He did all the makeup in this movie. he does all the makeup in all his movies. The kills look amazing. Like just the one guy, he got his head chopped off. Like it, there's a lot of, you know, scenes in a lot of 80s slasher movies. Take a drink, you know, play the drinking game every time I say 80s slasher movies. Drink a little shot there. But anyways, when you watch 80s slasher movies, there's a lot of a lot of scenes where heads are chopped off, and they look good. It's practical, it looks good, but I feel like this, like with, I don't know, whatever resources are available nowadays, like the head chop off just looked so great in this. 'Cause like sometimes like this is an example that I think of, like, okay, in Sleepaway Camp 2, okay, I'm not hating on Sleepaway Camp 2, that's like one of my favorite slasher movies. Sleepaway Camp 2, I love that movie so much. But when the one guy gets his head chopped off, it doesn't look that realistic. A lot of, even though I love that era of slasher movies, a lot of the effects don't look extremely realistic, but they do look better than a lot of CGI stuff. But all the practical effects in this, I feel like that just with the resources people have nowadays, they look really good. They look better than like a lot of effects from that time period. And I know that sounds crazy because I am a fan of that era of movies, but I don't know, I just feel like Damien Leone, he was like, you know, he was like a student of those movies. Like he was obsessed with Tom Savini, and he probably, you know, grew up like reading Fangoria and all that, and he took what they did, and I honestly feel like he improved upon it. Like I said, I've said this a million times, not hating. I love that era of movies dearly, you know, and I think that's some of the best practical effects work, period. Like you can't touch that nowadays. But in rare cases, like with Damien Leone, I think he improved upon, you know, that, like the practical effects of that era. I think the practical effects in this movie look absolutely amazing. Moving on, so, you know, Art the Clown breaks a lot of the rules here that typical slasher villains follow, and one of those rules is that, you know, he has a gun and he kills this one girl with a gun. Because now I am going to get into a little bit of a spoiler here, so just warning you all, getting into spoiler territory here. You know, the first two girls that we're initially introduced to, they don't make it. The one girl, the brunette girl, is, you know, pretty much built up to be the final girl, but they kind of subvert our expectations, and she's killed about like halfway through the movie, and her sister actually turns into the final girl. But anyways, that girl who is initially built up to be the final girl but dies, she's killed with a gun. And you know, some people might hate that and be like, why, he's supposed to be a, you know, traditional slasher villain, why is he using a gun? I think it's cool, that he's breaking the rules. And I feel like with other killers it wouldn't work, but it's like the way that he uses the gun makes it work, because it's not like he just like shoots her one and done. It's very like drawn out. He's shooting her in places where she's not gonna die, and he's making her death like drawn out and painful. And then he just starts like shooting her a bunch of times in the face and totally mutilates her face, which is kind of his sick style of killing. So I kind of like that. That was kind of like fresh, and that's kind of synonymous with the character now. Like in the short film he has the gun, and in this film he has the gun. Like that's kind of one of the things that makes him unique, is that like he'll use a gun. So I think that was cool. Just now that I'm remembering, I just wanted to give a shout out. I thought the lighting, and I don't know if I did mention this already, maybe I did, but in case I didn't mention this, I thought the lighting in this movie was really good. I noticed that a lot. The lighting was beautiful, especially in that scene. There's like kind of when he's shooting that one girl, like there's kind of like a bluish hue to the lighting. It looks really good. And the music, like the main theme is really good, but some of the more subtle background music is really good. So I just wanted to give a shout out. The lighting and the music is really good in this movie. There's kind of like a lot of like little like neon lighting stuff going on, but it's not overdone, and I'm a fan of neon lighting, so I really like that. But moving on now, I just want to give a quick shout out. People a lot of time complain that this movie has like no story or not enough story, and I can understand where they're coming from, but I think that's kind of a silly thing to complain about in a slasher movie. I think that complaint mainly comes from people who are not fans of the genre. They're not fans of slasher movies, or I think that complaint comes from, you know, like hardcore movie critics, you know, because I'll like watch a like a goofy comedy movie, and then I'll look that it got terrible reviews, and these critics, they're picking it apart like it's like they're critiquing it like they would critique some big budget serious drama movie, you know. Like I feel like I don't know, what I wrote in my notes is like saying, like, if you're complaining that a slasher movie doesn't have enough story, that's like complaining that like a stoner comedy doesn't have enough like in-depth characters and character development. I think it's kind of a silly thing to complain about, but they definitely did improve on the story in the second one. But yeah, this movie doesn't have that much story, but it's a effing slasher movie, dude. Come on, you know. I think that's a silly complaint personally, but hey, to each his own. Whatever floats your boat, you know. And then I pretty much talked about everything in my notes, but I just have one last random thing that I wanted to talk about. So the coroner at the end, he's like, yeah, you know, pick me up a breakfast sandwich with bacon. And they're like, what? You can eat right now? And I thought that was kind of fun because in countless horror films, whenever there's a scene with a coroner, I feel like they're always eating a sandwich. Like, I mean, the first thing that, you know, came to mind when that scene came up was, of course, you know, Friday the 13th Part 4, when the coroner, he's eating a sandwich and then he just sets it on the dead body. I feel like there's so many horror movies where you know, coroners are just eating food while examining dead bodies. And I thought that was kind of fun that they that they called him out on that. And I thought it was a kind of a good homage because, like I said, a lot of you know, older slasher movies and horror movies, they always have a scene where a coroner is eating some sort of food. So I thought it was a good homage, and I thought it was kind of fun that they called him out and they were kind of making fun of that trope, I guess. I don't know if that's a trope, but you know what I mean. But that was the last thing that I wanted to mention, just a little silly random thought that I had. But I'm gonna give you all my recommendation here, and then I'm gonna wrap things up. So I mean, you guys heard the review. I'm a huge fan of this movie. In terms of recommendation, if you haven't seen this movie and you're a horror fan, you're a slasher film, and you're a slasher film, you're a movie. If you have not seen this movie and you're, you know, a slasher fan, a horror fan, go out and watch this immediately. It's October right now. This movie's set on Halloween. This is a perfect thing to watch in October. You could watch this on the day of Halloween if you want. So, in terms of recommendation, you gotta see this. This movie absolutely slaps. So, yeah. What more can I say? Watch the effing movie if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, watch it again. Watch it 20 times. Watch it 30 times in 1 month. You know? Do what you gotta do. But anyways, with all that being said, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.